Welcome to Pep Talk with Wendy Summers. This hour is presented by Mainstay Financial and Annalee Leonard, who is responsible for the information and opinions expressed during the show.
Hi, this is Financial Advisor of the Year, Jim Brogan of Knoxville, Tennessee. You're listening to Winning with my good friend and colleague, Annalee Leonard.
You're listening to Winning with Annalee. Annalee is a retirement and estate planner, a member of the Ed Slott Master Elite IRA Advisor Group, as well as a sought-after speaker on such topics as income planning, 401k rollovers, and advanced IRA reduction strategies. When not working in her private practice, Annalee joins with other certified senior advisors to promote top-quality services to mature adults in the Pensacola area. Her goal is to help you prepare for and live comfortably in retirement. You can reach her office at 437-3127 or online at mainstaypensacola.com. Or call her now at 437-1620 on Winning with Annalee.
News Radios 92.3 AM 1620. Hello, Joan. Good morning.
Good morning, Wendy. And how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. So
Good,
we're winning.
good.
We're winning with Joan today.
Winning with Joan. We're winning with, welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Joan Connell, and you are listening to Winning with Mainstay Financial Group, Winning with Annalee, and I am subbing for Annalee this morning because, again, remember, this is a Tuesday when she's over at Sacred Heart Hospital, and she is helping people there this morning understand the alphabet soup of retirement. 401k, 403b, SEPs, IRAs, Roth, all that kind of stuff that I totally do not understand. Annalee does. That's why she's doing it.
Right.
But, you know, it worked out really well because I am so excited to be here today hosting the show. We have a special guest.
Oh, it's not because you got to see me.
Well, that's part of it, you know.
I'm always excited I got to see you, but okay, fine. I guess I'll understand when you tell our wonderful audience.
Tell everybody who we have with us today.
Right.
Okay. Again, welcome everybody to Winning with Annalee, Winning with Mainstay Financial Group on the corner of Perry and Cervantes, where we help you live a wonderful, comfortable retirement and plan for that retirement in multiple ways. So, again, welcome everybody. What I'd really like to do is just tell folks that, you know, at Mainstay Financial, we really help people feel more comfortable financially. We help you understand and plan for your retirement. So I guess when I was preparing for this show, I was thinking about the fact we all strive to make a difference. And, you know, Quint Studer obviously makes a difference in a big way. But every one of us in this community, in some form or fashion, can make a difference in what we do. And at Mainstay, we really believe that's the difference we add to this community, because we are helping people feel better and feel more comfortable about living in their retirement years. And that obviously then contributes back to the success of their families, their neighborhoods, their churches. All of those things are impacted by the one small thing that we believe we do at Mainstay. So what I would encourage each one of us to do is to think about the kinds of things that you do, even if it's in a very small way. I don't think there's too many of us that can do what Quint Studer does. You know, he's just a very, very unique individual and has been blessed with extremely incredible talents. But we all have talents to a certain degree. And I just think that's what we all need to focus on, is what are our talents and how do we use those talents to make the world a better place. That's kind of an intro into what I was thinking about with talking to Quint today. So we are really, really pleased today. We're going to be talking about community building in Pensacola. We have the most perfect guest to help us discuss that, Quint Studer. Welcome to the show, Quint.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be on with you two ladies.
Let me just say a few things. We know that Quint Studer is a businessman, but more importantly, he's a visionary and an entrepreneur and a mentor to so many people. And we know that Quint has really given his life to designing and building blocks for people and organizations to guide them to achieving and sustaining high performance. Quint came to Pensacola in 1996, and I'm going to have him give us a little bit of his history here. Believe it or not, I mean, he's only been here for less than 96, 2006. How many years is that, Wendy? Okay, 22 years.
Hey,
So
you got
all right.
here right after me, Quint, but I think you've made a little bit of a bigger impact than I have.
I can definitely agree with that one,
Yeah.
Wendy. No problem. Anyway, one of the things we know, if you take a walk downtown, any place downtown, you are going to see the wonderful, wonderful effect and influence that Quint and his wife Rishi have had on our local area. And that's just one small area. So I really would like to go ahead and talk a little bit with Quint about his background and his vision for Pensacola. I know there are so many events that happen here in Pensacola that are directly related to the Studer Group or the the Community Institute. I would like Quint to help us as we're going along with the show to help us understand some of those different things. So anyway, Quint, again, we say welcome so much, and I have to tell you we are so grateful for the fact that you're taking your valuable time to be on this show with us today. I know Annalee was disappointed that she didn't get to do this show today, but I will certainly encourage her to listen to the podcast. So, Quint, tell us a little bit about what did you major in college, and how did that impact where you are now?
Thank you. I majored in special education at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. And I think I did because I had a lot of my own learning issues, and I played soccer. And my soccer coach was a special education teacher. Oh. And I would go into his classroom, and he would help me work with his children. So when I went to college, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be just like Coach King, which is a special education teacher. And it really helped me for what I'm doing now. Because first thing you do, just like the first thing you do with a client, is you don't rush into anything. You diagnose the client. We diagnose the child, and we come up with what's the potential for that child, and how can we all work together to achieve it. And I think that's the same thing you do, whether it's financial planning or building a community.
It's really true, because I know that you definitely have a special place in your heart for the children of this community. And tell us a little bit about that and how you focus on that and what your hopes and dreams are.
I think you learn quite a bit. I taught high school special education, and more you realize that the sooner you can help a child or a family, the better off you'll be. And if you look at two of my heartstrings are, one, helping people with special needs. That's why if you look at the Wahoo game, we work real hard at giving people second chances or first chances if they've been having a rough time finding employment. The other thing we did with the early brain development is when we were looking at how do you really start this, if 85% of the brain is developed by age 3, we've really worked with getting our early brain bags into all the hospitals. Because if we can hit that mom before she takes the baby home and she understands the power of talking and how to build a brain, we can really make a big difference.
What all is in the brain bag?
I was just going to ask that. Thanks, Wendy.
Okay. Well, they get a magazine, which is called Building Blocks, which has a number of articles on how to talk to your child, how to integrate it into life. They get a resource guide that is every type of resource you could think of as a new mother. They also get a book, P is for Pensacola, and it talks about the alphabet, but it encourages people to read. And then it gets a book that was published by Shannon Nickinson of the Institute, which is basically for a mom to sort of track her child's brain development and how they react, how they respond, how many words she's speaking with them. And I think it's the only book in the country, because we've always tracked what their weight is, what their height is,
Right.
When do they roll, when do they sit. And this is really meant on how do you build the brain. And I think, we have lots of poverty here in Escambia County. Yeah. And I think the only way to really resolve it is to get to these children before they're age 3, because if 85% of the brain is developed before age 3, that seems to be where our focus should be.
Ah, very good. Now, what does this go to new mothers in every hospital in Pensacola?
Yes, every mother gets a brain bag. So far, we've given out over 8,000 of them.
Wow.
We work with the University of Chicago, and basically they do research, and And after the mom gets the brain bag and a tutorial, they fill out a survey which sort of asks them how knowledgeable they were of building the brain before the tutorial and then after the tutorial. And they go from about 6.5 before the tutorial on a 10-point scale to the mid-9. So certainly
Wow.
we've made a difference for 8,000 moms and children so far.
Oh, my goodness. That is absolutely incredibly wonderful. It really is. And it's amazing how something we could probably say as tiny as that. I mean, just that one little thing that's being done makes such a big difference. Right, Wendy? I mean, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean.
Well, it's not different what you and Annalee do with financial planning.
Well,
No, one change, one difference can make a huge difference in somebody's financial health.
And that's it's so true, Quint. It is so very true, and we see it all the time, and we hear it from the people that come in and see us. And whether it's something really complex that Annalee can do for them in terms of, gee, I'm leaving my job. What do I do with my 401k? How do I take care of this? How do I make sure if I'm not here, my family is going to be taken care of? I mean, yeah, it is. It's incredible. And that's what I was saying in the intro a bit, that no matter what talent, we all have talents, and each one of us have to find how can we best express those talents to help others, which I believe is how you have lived your entire life, you know?
I think too, Joan, there's always that fear. Sort of like when I talk about you start with diagnosis, that still doesn't mean I run to the doctor because I'm afraid I'm going to hear bad news. And I think even financially, sometimes people are sort of afraid to take that first step. And that's where I think you and your company does.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We definitely try to do that. We focus on that. So, listen, let me ask you, we talked about the fact that you started out with in special education. How did you make the transition to the healthcare industry? Where did that happen?
Yeah, well, basically, most people know this, but I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have 36 years now sobriety.
Oh, that's
and when I was going to meetings, 12-step meetings in a behavioral medicine center, and I noticed they were looking for a community relations rep, and they wanted somebody that knew the schools because you had children, with drugs and alcohol problems and so on, and I was in the school district, so I applied, and so I got into healthcare working in a drug and alcoholism treatment center.
Oh, wow. Wow. And I did not know that. I know, and the fact that you have been so open about sharing the fact that you are a recovering alcoholic, it's wonderful. I mean, I think it gives other people some encouragement. There is hope when you can make some changes in your life. So anyway, and it's amazing how one thing leads to another. You never expected that, but it happened. So that's
no.
Wonderful.
I speak at universities, and they'll ask me, healthcare. Well, how did you get into this? And I said, well, I'm not sure you want to take the route I took.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I think you certainly did it the hard way. No question about that. No question. Wonderful. Now, there was I read your article in the News Journal every Sunday that you have, your column, and I thought this past one was really interesting, where you made your visit to when you were in your healthcare setting and were trying to make changes in patient satisfaction, and went to Southwest Airlines. That story was really quite interesting when I read it this past Sunday in the News Journal.
Well, I think it also sends the message that you've got to sort of be vulnerable and reach out for help. And I'm talking about what you do. It's no different what I did. You hope people reach out to you so you can bring your expertise.
That's
For
right.
me, I reached out to Southwest Airlines, and they were very willing to help. And you learn a lot. And I learned I had it backwards.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was so interesting that you discovered that through Southwest Airlines and their satisfaction program. So, you got to start with your I guess what I took away from that is when you're in business, you really need to focus on the people that are helping you run that business. Because if they're
that's
not
your real
happy, nobody's
customer.
going to be happy. Yeah, right.
And I think, remember when I got to Baptist Hospital, I handed out the organizational chart with me on the bottom. And I said, that's sort of how we work here. My job is to make this a good place for you to work.
Mm-hmm. I bet that was interesting for them to see that. It was a total upside-down approach, wasn't it?
Well, I was in the parking lot one day, and people were parking and coming into work. And I remember going up to a nurse, and I said, I'm the new president of the hospital. I work for you. What would you like me to get done today? And she looked at me like maybe a drug screen would be a good idea.
Yeah, like, who's this nut in the parking lot talking to me, right?
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I remember because I was, at the time that you were at Baptist, I was in charge of the nursing department at Pensacola State, and I would hear things about, hey, what's going on at Baptist and how they're doing all these kinds of things to improve patient satisfaction, but hope to improve the staff satisfaction as well. So I was certainly aware of that. So you were at Baptist. I think you went there in 1996 when you came to Pensacola, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how long were you there?
I was there till January of 2000.
Okay, 4 years. 4 years. And I'm wondering whether you can clarify this for me and for our listening audience, because I know we've got this the Studer Group and the Studer Community Institute. Now, I know the Community Institute is still here. Is the Studer Group still called the Studer Group?
Yeah, it's still called the Studer Group,
okay,
at least for now. It's owned by Huron Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
In fact, last night I was they bring a lot of people in for training, so I went out and saw a lot of my old colleagues.
Ah.
And they're active, and they rent a couple floors of the Maritime Office Building and create a lot of jobs here.
Okay. And that's the group that goes out and to the different facilities or the organizations in the country and helps them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They work with really almost all over the United States,
mm-hmm.
a lot of Canada, and a lot of Australia.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's just amazing. It really is, you know. When you think you kind of were the one that were doing that, and then it grew into this, didn't it?
Yeah, I did that. And then in 2012, my appetite for the community mean I needed some money. Mm-hmm. And so I sold a part of the Studer Group, and that allowed us to do a lot of what you see downtown.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because I know I've heard people say, well, yeah, you know, Quint Studer, he has all this money. He can do anything that he wants in Pensacola. But what people don't remember is that you started out having little money. I mean, like a lot of people. I mean, when you think
Rishi and I did not have a savings account or a tax sheltered annuity till we were 46 years old.
See, I know. Now,
wow.
And you know, anybody, and you know, when people come to us, when people say, well, you know, oh my gosh, I really need to come see Annalee because, you know, I'm 55 and I haven't even saved for retirement. Now, it's probably too late. And we always say to people, it's never too late. The time to come in to see Annalee is when you think you need to. You know, when you start thinking about this, because it really is never too late. And you are a great example of that, Quint, when you share that story as well. Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite sayings is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
That's right. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So true.
So, okay, so you've got your Studer Group, and they're downtown, and you're still working with them, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Just focused on the community now.
Okay, good. And this is a perfect time. Wendy is giving me a signal that it's going to be soon going to the news. But when we come back, I really would like to talk more about the Community Institute, because that's really where it is right now. The other thing is I'd like to just quickly tell people about our Senior Alliance, because our group of professionals that deals with people who have issues, who are seniors in the community, those common issues that seniors deal with. What do I do if I want to downsize? How do I do a reverse mortgage? How do I, use my money for retirement? Those kinds of things. The Alliance, Escarosa Senior Alliance, is there to help you, and I feel like we do a teeny tiny bit of what Quint does for this whole entire community. So if you've got questions about the Alliance, call us at the office at 437-3127, and we can help you. Or if there's some need that you might have and not know who to turn to, call us, 437-3127. And while I'm at it, if you have a question that you want to ask Quint or a comment, whatever, call us here at the station, 437-1620.
And they can also text.
And text. I always forget that text thing, Wendy. So,
yeah.
So Quint, if you would hang on for us, we're going to break for the news, and then we will come back and talk about the Community Institute.
Now, back to more talk about your life with Wendy Summers on Pensacola's news talk station, News Radio 1620, FM 92.3.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there.
Because all they do is win.
Win with Annalee and Mainstay Financial Group.
Absolutely.
On
And
the corner
today,
of Perry and Cervantes.
yes. And today you win with Joan.
Well, we're winning with Quint Studer.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what we're doing today.
It's
That's
a double
great.
win.
That's right. I know.
And there he is. Hello, Quint. Welcome back to the second half of Winning with Annalee. We're so glad that you were able to stick around and chat with us about the Community Institute.
Yes, we are. Thank you, Quint.
Well, thank you. The Community Institute was formed about 5 years ago as I was sort of getting ready to leave Studer Group. And it's a not-for-profit, 501c3. And basically we have three areas that we work in. One is training and development. In fact, right now as I'm talking to you, Jim Howe and Amy Remington are doing a program on employment law and hiring trends. Mm-hmm. And they can go to studeri.org, and you can go and look at all the training, because 60 to 80% of jobs are created organically, locally. And the key, though, is 80% of companies don't make it 1 year.
Oh, wow.
So we've really focused on training and development, of giving people the skills. And, having been someone who traveled nationwide doing training, we bring world-class training locally at local prices. So we're very excited about giving people the leadership muscle to run good companies and grow their companies. So that's one of our initiatives. The second initiative that we have is truly civic engagement. And that means that we want to run CivicCon, as many people are aware of, all the speakers, to really raise our civic IQ. We have brought the who's who of urban planning, and there's a nice article in the News Journal this morning about waterfront.
Yes.
And last August, we brought in a group from New York that helped New York recover from Hurricane Sandy. They're pretty much all Harvard-educated environmentalists and hardscape architects. And we brought them in, and the feedback was so good of what they did from the 17th Avenue, sort of the new bridge, all the way over to Sanders Beach, that we said, well, let's just not leave it as a aspirational plan. How can we execute it? Oh. So we're bringing Gina Worth and her staff in. In fact, January 28th at Sanders Beach, they're going to sort of introduce what we're going to be doing over the next 5 months, which is we have all this great water around us, yet if you look at downtown, it's difficult to access, difficult to utilize, and that's wrong. Yeah. The Pensacola Young Professionals Quality of Life Survey that's done by Mason-Dixon shows that waterfront's very important to people in this community, but they're frustrated because they can't access it without driving over two bridges.
That's right.
So we're excited about that, and we want the community to know everything we do is transparent. And so that's part of this Civic Studer Community Institute. 1/3 of it is that civic engagement piece, and educating our community on, how to slow down traffic, how to make it more walkable and bicycle and so on. Then the other third that we do is the whole early development, early brain development that I told you about. So those are our three focuses at the Institute. And we're very excited about what we're doing, and we're getting ready to open the building. Many people think it's a SunTrust building, and even though we have a lot of other tenants, the entire first floor is dedicated to community engagement and involvement. We've created a free room that the community can use for meetings and talks. We're getting ready to open up the lobby, and people drive through. We're trying to create a great plaza because we really want to bring people together. Because if you get to know each other, it seems like if you get to know each other when there isn't an issue, when there is an issue, it's easier to resolve it.
When is the SunTrust building going to be opened?
Well, it's open right now. The third floor through the ninth floor is open. But the lobby will probably be open, I think, the 21st of January. We have an impact meeting there. And then January 31st, we have the Twins, Minnesota Twins are going to be in town. They're going to be we're going to have an event there. So I think end of January, and then you're going to see it really start to hum.
And who will be in the floors above? Will that be people that have businesses that want to lease in your building, or what?
We already have quite a bit. We have the Hatch McDonald, who are doing a lot of the bridge work on going over to Gulf Breeze, and they have 2 floors. We have the Florida State Small Business Development Center. We have Haas Center for UWF. So we have a number of businesses are already in there. We have about 65% of it leased.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I know we are hoping to be able to go to the Impact 100 event down at the building. So hopefully that will be, I'm sure that's going to be a very successful event.
Yeah, and I think what we've really tried to do is you want to create places where people feel comfortable. Ironically, we're trying to create a place where people want to come loiter. And I think this plaza, if you haven't been by the plaza, it's really almost like we're creating a small park for people downtown. We're also in the process of looking for a operations manager because you have to program it. We want to have table tennis outside, books. We want to constantly have activities going on.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Well, you know, I guess if that plaza becomes anything like it is when you're walking downtown, because there's such an incredible difference downtown now with people being able to walk around and you know, sit at outside tables, all that kind of thing that makes it so inviting to come downtown, which certainly all happened after you and Rishi became so involved with the revitalization downtown, especially on Palafox in that area. So,
well, that's exactly right. You want to create a neighborhood. So there's 2 little neighborhoods to talk about. One is when the Blue Wahoo Stadium was built, that whole boardwalk becomes a neighborhood, and we're actually doing a lot of renovation right now because the concession stands are now going to be little storefronts, which are going to be neat. And probably the biggest impact is Southtown, where we have the 400 residents now. The YMCA, the Clark Partington Wells Fargo office building. There's 2,000 people a day that walk on Intendencia between Tarragona and Jefferson right now.
Wow, 2,000 a day.
I love that little area right through there. I always, when I'm downtown, I like purposely, I don't even care if it's out of my way or takes longer. It just makes me happy. That one little block.
Well, I love that tree. I drive around that tree all the time, our Liberty tree, and it's Woonerf, which is a European road called Living Street. And it's one of the first ones in the United States. And it's to slow down traffic. And you like this, too. We're going to there's be a bookstore and a coffee and wine shop is going in there. And we have a number of businesses now that are starting to move in. And probably by the end of April, early May, you're going to see 7 new businesses. And ironically, I think it's sort of interesting, every one of them is owned by a woman.
Oh, no. Wow. See that, Wendy?
And that just happened.
Nice.
Every one of them is owned by a woman, which we think is great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That is really wonderful. And, you know, it's so funny because yesterday, knowing I was going to be having you on the show today, when I was driving home, I drove down my street and drove into my garage, and I went out to get the mail, and I saw like 4 other people doing exactly the same thing, and I said to myself, how can we change that? Because, you know, we're at so many neighborhoods are like they don't know who their neighbors are because you go in and out of your garage and never see anybody. And, you know, I hope that we can change that in the future. I'm not exactly sure how, but we've developed into that kind of a neighborhood focus, and what you're doing is what we truly need, where we have multiple generations sharing space together.
In fact, that's what people like about Southtown, is it's the age range. You go in there and you talk to people, and the people over the age of 55 love the fact that there's all these young people hanging out.
I know. I mean, years ago when they started the over 55 communities, everybody thought, wow, that's really such a great idea. And now we're looking at it saying, well, maybe that wasn't, because now it's everybody over 95. And, you know, now they've got problems. So it really becomes an issue. So I think people, the more we can evolve into mixed generations, I think it's just going to be just the way to go. I mean, that's my personal opinion, although I think some other people agree with that as well. So,
well, part of it, we also, with CivicCon, the Studer Committee Institute and the Pensacola News Journal starting the Center for Civic Engagement. And a big part of it is to work with neighborhood associations. Because over the years, they've sort of gone away. A few of them have good neighborhood associations, but many of them don't. So, Joan, what you were talking about is bringing back that feeling of neighborhoods, that feeling of walking around. And when we started building communities for cars, we forgot about people.
Exactly. That's really what happened. What happened. So, the other thing I would like to ask you about is the what's going on with the mayor, and aren't you chairing a group that is involved with helping people kind of keep the government informed here in town?
Well, I think what the mayor did is it's pretty common. I didn't know it was until I got into it. When a new mayor comes in, they tend to name a transition team. And this one's a little different because normally you name one like November, but you don't take office till January, like you saw with the governor here.
Right.
Ours is almost as soon as the mayor's race is over, they're in office. So we're sort of going down 2 tracks. While Mayor Robinson is trying to drive the city, what we're trying to do with the transition team is, and I'll give you the feedback on where the meeting is here tonight in a bit. So we're basically have 11 categories from economic development to walkability to transparency, and these category leaders are meeting all over Pensacola to get community input, because Mayor Robinson wants to know what the community thinks. So tonight, actually, at the Asbury Place at Cokesbury Church from 5 to 6:30 p.m., 750 College Boulevard, all the category leaders are going to be present, and would love to hear from the community. They also can go to the City of Pensacola website and go to and you can see transparency.com and give input into what they'd like to see in the community and what's good and what they'd like to see improved.
Okay, and of course that anybody who gets the News Journal either in print or online, that article was in the paper today as well about the
and it's transitionpensacola.com.
Transitionpensacola.com. Okay.
Excellent. I love that the mayor did that.
I know.
And he's off.
We're doing something else too. We're doing it in the sunshine. so there's no secrets.
Yeah, and I think that's extremely important in building trust with government. No question about that.
So if you're doing it in the sunshine, Quint, where's the sunshine today, pal? That's what I want to know.
I feel the same way.
It's trying to come out. It's trying to come out. It looked like it was going to snow this morning. From, being from, and you can relate to this too, Quint, being from the north. You get that snow-looking sky, and if you didn't realize that the temperature was 45, you would realize that, oh, wow, it could snow here, But anyway, just getting back to the Transition Pensacola a minute, Quint, the topics, and if you could help me understand this, like the next one is on the 18th, January 18th, at the Hagler Mason Conference Room at City Hall, Employee Engagement and Sustainability. Do you know, I didn't know what that meant as part of the transition team. Can you clarify that for us or not?
Yeah, well, we have a number of teams. I'll go over them real quick, too, and then I'll hit that. We have education. Mm-hmm. We have the environment, economic development, crime and safety, transparency, parking, traffic, and walkability, internal and governance, neighborhoods, finance, efficiency, and legal. And Christy Tobias is probably the one you're talking about.
Yes.
And that's really about how to make the city of Pensacola a great place to work.
Okay.
Wow.
Good. All right. Thank you, because I wasn't quite certain what that meant. All right. I'm gonna ask you a question, Quint, because this is maybe you can talk to the mayor, but I always wonder. We talk about the environment and helping keep Pensacola clean and keeping the drainage in good shape. I want to find out why they allow us to blow leaves into the street that then go into the drainage sewers. Anybody ever think about that before?
Interesting.
Yeah, we have quite a bit, in fact, with Christian Wagley.
Okay.
And the other thing we've talked about is why we allow gas blower leaf blowers.
Yeah.
They're very noisy. Mm-hmm. They're very much pollute when people can use electronic leaf blowers and bag their leaves, and it's much better for the environment. So
okay, good.
You got a big fan. There's a lot of people not happy with me that's trying to get people to go from gas-powered leaf blowers to electric.
Yeah, because they're
and it doesn't mean the cord. You charge them,
right.
and then you go out.
Right.
Oh, okay, good. All right, I didn't even...
what was that? I missed that. I'm sorry.
He said that there's the ones that you can charge.
And,
and of course
there
would be. There's
right.
rechargeable everything else.
That's
Why wouldn't there be a rechargeable leaf blower?
I'd only be happy if they stopped blowing stuff into the street. That then
James Fallon. Well, I think you blow it in the street if you collect it and bag it.
Yeah,
you don't want to blow it in the street and throw it down the drains.
And that's what they do. So, anyway, that was way off the topic. I guess maybe it wasn't.
No, it's not off the topic at all. James Fallows from the Atlantic, who was here for Civicon, wrote a book, Our Town, wrote a whole article in the Atlantic on gas-powered leaf blowers and the damage they do to the environment and the noise.
Well, I have to read that book. I really do. Well, it's amazing because just think about it all the time, because when we get ready to have a big storm or a lot of rain, then we've got city employees out there cleaning out the drains so that we don't have a flood. So it's like a vicious cycle, and it just causes so many issues. But anyway.
Well, the other thing we've done, and people do, when they do it, I'm sure it makes sense. Just like it made sense to put the treatment plant close to the water at one time. Mm-hmm. We have overcovered a lot of rivers. So when Scape was in here from New York, they noticed that a lot of our stormwater issues is we have overcovered some natural drainage areas. Uh-huh. And they talk about where you can sunlighting these water areas again.
Oh, my goodness. It's just amazing, everything that you are involved in. It's mind-blowing, isn't it, Wendy, when you think about it, and how much of an impact you have made here in the Pensacola area. And any of us who have lived here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, it's anybody who moved here recently, I don't think appreciates what has happened over the last 10, 15 years because they haven't seen it. They haven't seen the evolution. Right, Wendy? What do you think?
Well, and we're trying to help other cities. And I wrote a book called Building Vibrant Communities because it's small and mid-market cities, which is what we are, have really struggled over the years because we've lost so much of our young talent that have gone to Atlanta or Miami or Tampa, New York, Chicago. So what we're really trying to do is do something called reverse migration. How to keep the talent here and how to get the talent back.
Get them back. That's right. Well, the other thing is I was looking on online and I saw that, of course, Entricon will be back in 2019 in November. And I know Annalee went to that this past November and just raved about the wonderful things that she learned and the networking ability and so on. So I was happy to see that that's going to occur again. And just tell us quickly what Entricon is.
Sure. Entricon stands for Entrepreneurship and Continuous Improvement. And what we do is we bring in outside experts to how to run your business, how to engage your employees, how to attract customers, how to improve your processes, how to run your financials. And then we integrate that with local talent. And we've been thrilled to get 450 people for about 2.5 days. And instead of paying airfare and hotel and $1,000 to go, it's about $250 to $300, and they walk out with great training to run great companies.
Well, I know that's what Annalee said when she came back, and I'm so glad it's going to be again this year. So,
well, and your company, and she's a great example. I mean, I get a lot of, you're doing no different than what we're trying to do or I'm trying to do. You're trying to create great service. Annalee works real hard on being a great employee. And, of course, she's also certainly improved the quality of life of people with dogs in this area over the years.
That's right.
Yes, she has.
And speaking of that, we are one of the sponsors of the Fur Ball, which will be on February 1st this year, the event that's a fundraiser for the Humane Society. So we'd like to bring Beau, Jolie, and Bella, but Beau couldn't get a tux to fit, so we can't bring him. But anyway, we're looking forward to that, and of course, being a good community-minded sponsor for the animals in this area. So. Very good.
So I have a little surprise for you. I'm not going to tell you too much, but Quint, I don't know if you're going to be attending the Fur Ball, which just cracks me up. But the mayor and I actually participated in some shenanigans on Saturday morning that will be revealed
at the Fur Ball?
At the Fur Ball.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we are going to be looking forward to that. So, all right. So, well, Quint, if you can't be at the Fur Ball, we'll let you know what it is, okay?
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Suffice it to say the place may go to the dogs.
Very good. Well, Quint Studer, we cannot thank you enough for taking the time, your very valuable time, to be with us and to share what you did with our listeners. We know that we have a lot of people that listen to this show, and I really believe that you've enlightened a number of people about what your goal is for Pensacola. So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll have you again soon.
All right. Well, thank you, Joan. Wendy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are
okay, you
so
have a great
welcome.
day. Just to our listeners, just want to tell you that Annalee's class, Financial Survival for Retirement, is starting next Thursday. And for those of you who listen to us over in the Fairhope area, it's going to be at the Fairhope Library. All right, next week.
Oh, Fairhope.
Next Tuesday, Fairhope.
Fairhope is a beautiful
It's
little
a beautiful
community.
location, beautiful place. We definitely want to say thank you to KC, who is kind of like the producer of our show, because she sets up all the guests and gets everything organized, and that's very, very, very helpful to Annalee and myself. Want to thank Kristen in our office, our admin. We say she's new, but she's not. So she's been with us over 3 months now, and also for Megan. Please, everyone, have a wonderful day. We love you. Tune in again next week. Annalee will be back. Have a wonderful day. Take care of each other. Be good.
And you be good.
Always.
lies. But most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. Have a great day.
News, talk, traffic, and weather. This is News Radio 92.3, AM 16.